this is the year to receive. And it's not just about receiving physicality, blessings and opportunities and things to move you into the flow and into the accessibility, thank you, of love, but it's also a year of receiving your true potential with regards to your gifts, your intuition, thank you, your availability to aligning yourself to your best and highest. So we're going to talk a little bit about that based on the guidance that they gave me. But as I mentioned, please make sure you get water, because I know they're going to be moving energy. I know they're going to be pulling stuff forward in a very graceful way. And they're moving so much energy even in my mouth as I'm talking. And I'm hearing this deep voice as I'm talking. We are with you. We are with you. So as we start, I want to encourage everyone to just take a moment to just set the intention that you are willing, ready to receive. And when I mean receive is that you're just ready to receive, just being blessed, being loved, being supported, being seen. Thank you. Being appreciated. Thank you. And I'm hearing this deep voice, enveloped in love, that you're saying yes to being enveloped in love. And part of what the vision that I'm being shown is this beautiful master of blue light. He's audibly telling me to say a master of blue light that is encouraging us to reignite, and they did already say this to me, to reignite our fire, to reignite the understanding of who we truly are. And 2022 in a big way, is pulling, sorry, they don't want me to say the word pulling. He's saying not pulling. Thank you. Thank you. There is a reignition, a reigniting that is taking place for all of us with our fire, with our ability to lead ourselves in ways that we haven't fully tapped into quite yet. And I know, right, that there's many stories going on collectively about things that are happening, can happen, won't happen, may not happen, that may be stirring doubts or interesting. They just said the word disabilities. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. I'm going to come back to that. So I'm going to set the intention. They're going to bring this back. But there's just been a lot of movement that has us feeling doubtful. Now, I know this is not everyone on the call, live or replay, but it's part of what we're going to set the intention that tonight we're going to move, that tonight we're going to do it together. And I know people are joining me from all over the world or joining us. So I'm excited about that. So night, day, whatever it may be, just know that this is part of what, thank you. Okay, thank you. That on some level, this beautiful presence of light is saying, let tonight be a catalyst. Let me close that. Let tonight be a catalyst to something great and beautiful. Let tonight be a catalyst to something great and something beautiful. And they audibly said disability. So I see a lot of people are jumping in. Some of you might have missed this, but they're saying there's a part of us that's claiming a disability that is not ours to own. There's a part of us that is claiming a disability that is not ours to own. And one of the things that I can celebrate is that since I was a little girl, I was reminded that I am more than just human. And sometimes life happens, right? We have life circling, we have things circling and unfolding, but it's like somehow we get stuck in the idea that there's this limitation within our physicality that is truly not there unless we decide to shake hands with it. Unless we decide it is going to be part of us, unless we decide it's going to be part of our movement and our advancement. So then we move through life with this disability that has us rolling, rolling in a different way outside of the potential that we've been seeded with. So as we move through our time together, as I mentioned in the beginning, is that I want to invite you, whatever part of you can decide that I'm willing, ready, and able to open up to receiving, that I'm open, ready, and available to being blessed with seeing more of myself, and that I'm opening up even though we're here for about an hour, that you're opening up for this moment together to be a catalyst for something beautiful, something great, and something delicious. And in meditation for tonight, they kept showing the fire that is reigniting. And I know the master that is speaking tonight has already addressed that. So I'm going to speak to it again. But part of what they said is like, this is a time where every one of our fires is being reignited. And consciously, we're going to look at these things a little differently, but just to bring us into union with what that looks like, as the emoji somebody just put on there, it literally looks like a flame. And I want to bring into our thoughts or our awareness and the moving energy, the idea of this blue flame, the idea of this higher consciousness that burns within us, within our soul, within our source, within our core, that helps us to know and understand that it is fueling and moving us at all times outside of our physical human experience. And that on some level, tonight's invitation, and on a bigger level, tonight's invitation is that you are open to seeing that flame once again. Because the reality is that we've all had the experience of the flame. It's made itself, it's offered its glimpses throughout our life, but before we came into living, it was a flame that we owned with grace and ease and perpetually. They're saying the word perpetually. It's a perpetual flame that can't be turned off. But going back to what they mentioned earlier with the disability, because life has been happening, there's been this illusion of disability that it's not there. So we're setting the intention that each of you, live or on replay, tonight we are going to come together to feel the experience of that fire, to feel the experience of that love, that wild love. That sounds good. That wild love that is moving through us. That wild love that helps us to know, understand, and feel that we are truly limitless. That the idea of the disability, and again, that's the word they're using, the idea that there's a disability within us has just been part of the narrative to keep us in that space. And I'm not pointing fingers where that narrative is coming from, because the reality is that narrative can just be coming from us, right? Fear. Thank you. And part of the narrative is to feed and agree to fear. And part of what I really just want to acknowledge is that, again, all of us on this call, collectively, we're more than just human. We're part of we have a bigger role to play as a family. We have a bigger role to play collectively. We have a bigger role to play as individuals. And it's about taking time to identify, how do I step outside the story that I've been allowing myself to feed so that I can see what's truly possible for me. Thank you. And they're saying that this year ultimately is an opportunity for us to step into different levels of creation that go outside of what we've known. And they're telling me to go into the vision that I got. So as I was preparing for all of this and all this was being given to me, I was shown this vision of all of us collectively, and you can call it angels, you can call it soul, you can call it God, source, universe, but I was being shown this beautiful vision that there's this collective movement that's happening where, and this is how I'm going to describe the vision, but no, this is symbolic. And I saw this beautiful ray coming outside of the earth, and it was coming in like an angel, let's say, coming in, and it was pulling people out. And it was this beautiful vision. So let's just say me, I'm the person standing there, and I'm being pulled out of my reality, out of my life. And I'm being pulled out. And it says this, I saw myself moving out of Earth's atmosphere. And when I got pulled out, my human self got like, and it stayed in the earth. And I got to see myself. And it was as if the angel was holding me outside of earth itself for me to look into earth, but for me to also come back to being me, the real me. And in the vision, what I was being shown is that each of us are being pulled momentarily, they're saying momentarily, are being pulled in different moments and in different timelines and in different spaces, that we're being pulled so that we can be taken out of our physical reality so that we can come to see our real selves. And I know this is a little more, but part of the invitation that I'm going to be giving you guys, or an exercise I'm going to be giving you guys tonight. So when you go to bed, or whether it's daytime where we're at, but when you go to rest here after this, in your own time, it's like an invitation, whether you call it God, source, universe, angels, divine, whatever it is you feel comfortable, or even higher self, that you're surrendering to being pulled into seeing yourself again. And this is not like I want to see who I really am. Yes, you want to see that, but it's like you are claiming that you are going to remember who you really are. So this flame that we're talking about, this is not something new that you're going to create out of the blue, like something you've never known. This is an actual flame that's already been part of your knowing. You're setting the intention to remember yourself as you've been known by love itself, but also how you've been known by yourself in a bigger way. So again, in this vision, I was pulled out of earth, and we were being pulled out of earth so we can gain that higher perspective once again. So on some level, collectively, and I know this doesn't apply to everyone, right? Not to everyone here. But as a collective, we've been so, they're showing me a vision of people being so, a vision of a woman looking through a cone and just looking down through the cone, and she's not seeing the other higher perspective, and she's just looking down. And what I'm being shown, that what you're being asked tonight, when you go to bed tonight, because again, I'm going to give you guys an exercise. It's like you're asking to be able to see from a higher perspective so that more can flow moving forward. Thank you. And they're saying decisions need to be made today. Decisions need to be made today. That yesterday is no longer possible. And this is that yesterday is no longer possible. We're referring to that which added weight. We're referring to those things that added fear. We're referring to those things that kept you in the dark. We're referring to those things that are no longer necessary for you to move today. The yesterday can't be reimagined again. The yesterday cannot be reimagined again. And for those who weren't here in the beginning, this is a master. He's showing himself in a blue energy. And part of his message is to help us to step outside ourselves into stepping outside ourselves as we've known ourselves, to come back home, to come back home. And they're audibly saying that there are several of you physically have been feeling that pull and they're saying physically you've been feeling the pull of stepping outside yourself. So they're showing me that several people here live or on replay have been feeling this weight of absence, or weight of doubt, or weight of fear of, and I don't know how to articulate this, the vision they're showing me. It's like of not being good enough, or like it not being good enough, or it needing to be better. And part of what this master is saying, that you're being invited to step outside yourself, not because yourself isn't perfect, but because the self that's been owned by the majority of our collective, especially with the different things that are happening, we are owning a disability that was never designed to be ours. Disability representing limitations, disabilities representing like your level of ownership of who you are as a soul, that on some level, there is a part of you that knows and owns that you came here at this time, knowing and owning that you were part of something greater. That there's no accident. There's no accident in any way at the fact that you're here today, that you're breathing, that you're listening to me, that you're moving, that you're alive. Like there's no accident. The idea that there's been a mistake with everything that's happening in our collective, or the idea there's been a mistake with anything that's happening to you personally, is the biggest illusion and part of the disability that so many people have gotten a hold of. That is part of the narrative that we need to step outside of. There's a bigger you, a greater you that has always been in control. And part of our assignment, thank you, part of our assignment, and they're saying it loudly, part of our assignment is to come back home. For us to feed and fuel that fire that is inevitably gonna show up. And for some of you, you see it very clearly, and there's some of you who don't, and that's okay. I've had my moments where I don't feel or see that fire. But part of what is being shared by this master is that we are at a time in which all will remember. We are at a time in which all will remember.